What's up, everybody? You know how many times I've seen a video titled Descendants of the Nephilim? Quite a bit, and 500,000 views. Must be great to not be shadow banned. They'll show this video to exactly zero new people. You know how many times I've clicked on a video and seen any actual evidence of descendants of Nephilim? Never. If you're lucky, you might get a little bit of Book of Enoch in there. But when I just accidentally stumbled across this video, as soon as I saw that, I knew exactly what I was looking at and said, holy crap, that's actual descendants of Nephilim right there. So this goes back a couple years to a discovery, I guess, that I just accidentally made, but something that stuck with me for a long time. And I've went and tried to find this again since then and no luck. But I was looking at this excavation of a Coptic church in Egypt. You know, they date from time of Christ up to 500 AD officially. But these were literally the original Christian churches, some of the very first ones. And I remember it was a really cool discovery, but they had frescoes and mosaics all over the walls depicting angels, and they depicted all of the angels with bird feet, which is something that'll make you pause and think a little bit. And, it makes sense in the sense that, well, birds fly and angels fly. So if you kind of anthropomorphize things, then there you go. But then I got to digging around and I found old paintings basically all around the world that showed angels with bird feet. And it's strange. Now I can't find any of that. I don't know how I got into that rabbit hole. So it's just something that stuck in the back of my head for a long time. But as soon as I saw this picture of the ostrich feet people, I thought there's got to be a connection here, and it didn't disappoint. First, I gotta say, this looks incredibly painful. I mean, it looks like this toe is broken, and this guy got one lobbed off. But, in the video, they play soccer, and they use them to climb trees, so if that's the way you're born and your whole tribe is like this, well, then it would just seem normal to you, I guess. Now, I've seen other tribes that don't wear shoes, that their feet can become very deformed from what we're used to seeing. But this is just a altogether different bone structure that they have. And this guy doing the video found a guy that actually spoke English, and he says that, yeah, this comes from our genes, or their genes. He isn't actually one of them. But, people have known that you have genetic qualities for a long time. They just didn't have the vocabulary we do today. They just say it's a bloodline, it's in your blood. He also said that not only do they just have the two toes, but some of them only have two fingers as well. So I zoomed in a little closer on this guy's hands, and it looks like he has two opposable thumbs on the same hand. I was trying to look up crab people because I know that's older than the character from Futurama, but that's all that comes up now. Here it looks like they have two-toed feet and regular hands. But that's just the way genetics go. I mean, some traits will skip a couple generations and all of a sudden pop up. But what are the origins of this genetic material? Well, the elders believed that their ancestors were giant birds that appeared from the sky and took Vedoma women as their wives. As a result, the women gave birth to children who had the feet of an ostrich. Now, one part of this story sounds really familiar, doesn't it? Genesis 6:2 says that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful and they took wives for themselves. And that the Nephilim, the fallen angels from the sky, bore children with the women of earth, and those were the mighty men of old and men of renown. This is also relayed in Greek mythology with, Hercules being the son of Zeus and many other demigods that were just half human. And then other sources outside of the Bible even have the name of the angel that fell and had children with earthly women. So I have no doubt that all of these stories portraying the same thing have their origins in some truth and from the same place, probably. But this isn't what we normally think of when we think of giants and Nephilim. But, there's always the runt of the litter. What you don't normally think of is angels having bird feet. There's also old goddesses, this may be Sumerian, that show a woman with wings and talons as feet. And speaking of owls, did you guys see the guy that recently took a kayak and a skillet and paddled his way into Bohemian Grove? It was pretty ballsy. If I remember, I'll put it down in the links. But the place actually looked like it hadn't been used in years. There's like moss growing all over the owl and stuff now. And the owl is hollow. It's just a thin layer of stucco, just like the World's Fairs. They're magnificent statues with English writing. But there are several variations of this theme of the half bird, half human around the world. In Hindu mythology, you have the Kinnara, part human, part bird, have a strong association with music and love, and believed to come from the Himalayas, which they're pretty well situated in the sky. They often watch over the well-being of humans in times of trouble or danger, and an ancient Indian string instrument known as the Kinnara Veena is associated with them. And just a reminder, all of the arts and manufacturers of Earth are attributed to the fallen angels. I think in the Bible they say that Tubal-Cain is the responsible for all the metallurgy, and then there was another guy for the healing arts, and then another one for the musical arts, and all of this is supposedly gained knowledge from the fallen angels. The Burmese Buddhists believe that out of 136 past animal lives of the Buddha, 4 were Kinnara. So unlike, say, Thoth in the Egyptian mythology, where they'll combine 2 symbols, at least that's what the scholars say. I can't read hieroglyphics, but with the Kinnara, they're saying it's an actual physical being. And if you look into Hinduism, there are all kinds of not human entities in the past. The Kinnara is also on a state flag here and is associated with royalty and stuff, which people used to believe that their rulers ruled over them by the decree of the gods. Now, on the flip side of that, you've got the Harpies going all the way back to Greek mythology, who have been described as disgusting birds with heads of maidens with long claws and faces pale with hunger. And it's been generally agreed that they are servants of Hades. They are sent to bring more souls to Tartarus. So on one side of the world, you've got these half bird, half woman creatures that you don't want to have anything to do with, while in the Himalayas, they're known as watching over the well-being of humans in times of trouble or danger. And there's a lot of crazy stuff that used to live up in the mountains, if even 10% of what they say is true. Anyway, it's pretty well accepted, even on like fundamentalist Christian channels that I see. We'll talk about the Nephilim as genetic engineering, basically, and that the whole reason for the flood was because they had defiled God's creation. And here's a group of people with 2 toes and 2 thumbs that say that their ancestors came from the sky and mixed with women and had children. And out of all of the speculation I've heard about genetic modification of human DNA, this is the best evidence of that I've ever come across. I'm sure a scientist would say, well, they just had a genetic defect thousands of years ago, and since their feet look like ostriches, they just started the rumor that their ancestors came from the sky. But when you've got the same story all around the world, and the fact that I can't prove, but I've seen it, that they used to portray angels with bird feet, it's just too much to be a coincidence. And I think these might actually be descendants of Nephilim. Static out.